So I finished Raillore and it's pretty fun, albeit the story not being great. It's something like Denki Striker where the feels trying to go forward is more important than the plot itself. Consider like when you're 3 or 4 playing like action figures. Basically it followed the rule of cool and drove over the subplots like, yeah, they don't matter. Is it cool enough? Yeah, or cool. Or, it was made by Third Eye, the same people that made Sorcery Jokers. This is more entertaining than Sorcery Jokers. It had a better flow for my taste, and a lot of that is because Haruto was just pretty annoying and kept killing the ride. And that's kind of the difference between the two titles. Sorcery Jokers had Senri and a lot of cool side characters, but any hype died once Haruto showed up more often than not. Raillore, on the other hand, had Reno and Gray. Reno being super robotic to the point it felt like he had Asperger's or something. It was pretty funny. And Gray being like a total asshole that just wants to fool around. Think of him like rants without all the porn. Each has their like underlying issues, but overall Gray just tries to portray himself as like a dumbass that'll skip work and talk shit to anybody outside like V. V is one of the side characters and they'll look after each other. The thing is, the side characters are kind of stepped down compared to Sorcery Jokers. Sure, they're comical, but a lot of them also felt like kind of one note for a huge part of the title. The main four is Fee and Isla on Gray's side, and then Tilt and Milialis on the other side. Fee is the best one of the four, and then I honestly found a lot of the side characters to be more interesting. Tilt and Milialis have their own moments, but they're like better as plot movers than anything else. Like I'd say Runi is more interesting, alongside like Shia and Quinn. Even Zed is more interesting. But overall, I'd probably say like Elikate was the most enjoyable to read outside of Gray. Mainly because Elikate is kind of unhinged. Alstat was also pretty fun, but his roles are more clear and is more on the obvious sections of the plot. It's like, alright, I know what you're going for. The plot is pretty bare bones at times. It's a plot stringed along by combat, chase scenes, or a mix of both. And yeah, it was entertaining because of that. There's rarely a dull moment until the slice of life sections happen, where it's just days of brevity between the combat sequences. It's a city where everybody has their own specific powers called dunamis. Some are combat oriented, the others are like career related, but there's a few that are just called snatchers, and all they do is consume something specific temporarily and use that as a power. Some consume memory, some consume like sound or vision, and even some consume like another power to get their powers. No one likes snatchers, they're basically second class citizens, and they have a harder time in life because of that. There's also a chance that anybody can mutate something on their body and they become what the city calls errors. The government tries to capture them and put them into this machine that would like erase their memories, and somehow their new powers of using their relic things also canceled out. Relics are like old technology and the heirs can transform them into like new tech that they want. Anyways, once their memories are wiped, they become zeros. They no longer have the dunamis that was wiped when they became an error, and they also lose the power of using the relics. So they're really fucked and have like a hard time to find any new work for it because of that. Reno was originally on the government side. He threw away his free will a long time ago and just does what he's ordered to. Shit happens and the chapters are mainly split between Reno and Gray, with a few chapters where they're together. They were friends when they were kids. It's kind of shown to be important, but it's not. There's nothing really to it. Sure, there's a small piece here and there where it forces the team to split up because of that, but it's really not about their relationships. Like there's an underlying topic about it all, but it's barely used anyway. It's basically one of those like, oh, that's neat, anyways, what's going over there, type of thing, right? And that happens quite a lot. It happens with Tilt, it happens with Runia. Milialis kind of finishes fine, but also is kind of short as well. I guess I should also say that most of the H scenes happen in the epilogues. A lot of the art is kind of funky in a way because it's just mashing characters together, because almost everything is combat scenes. So you can add like Reno on one stance, where he's like either waiting or holding a sword and just slap Tilt around, and it makes it look like, oh, Reno caught her, or because she was attacked or something, or that she fell. It's like, alright, it's kind of cool in a way, in a very like workaround type of thing. The overarching theme is stagnation, mainly via escapism and a little bit of stoicism, and then how they have to get through that for like a different tomorrow. It happens a few times with a lot of characters, sometimes a little too much on certain characters, like holy shit, you're returning to this theme again. But overall the plot isn't amazing. Sometimes it's sat on its ass here and there, but after the 80% mark the plot just went on maximum overdrive because it just rushed through a lot of shit. It really felt like it needed another chapter or two between like actually handling everything. It really felt like it needed another chapter or two in between to actually handle everything. It does feel like Gray had more screen time of the two, but that might have just been me. I think it was to compensate at the start where it was focusing at the town and the government and Reno. The title is all about action that still wanted something big to happen for the plot. It could have been cut down on trying to be more than what it is and be more like a Cyber Slayer thing where it's like beautifully concise, but they just failed at it. It's like, hey, let's try being more than what it is. Like, it didn't really need to be. Outside of the action sequences, the voice acting is what really carries the title, and that's mostly on Gray. The rest is fine, but Gray is hilarious. It's like him, Zet, and like Alicate. And guess what? Alicate and Gray have a more interesting dynamic and history between each other than Gray and Raillore, right? It was actually one of the better parts of the plot because it was paced well throughout the title instead of a lot of other parts where it all got shoved into like the last 2 chapters. So in terms of entertainment, I give this an 8, but in terms of plot, I give it to a 6. So for the spoilers, mostly on world building, it ended up being that this was a post-apocalyptic scenario. It's been around 300 or 400 years since our time. Shit was pretty bad, and I had to like, they update our genetics and shit. Byproduct of that is the dunamis thing. The error wasn't something they expected, and I already forgot if the snatchers were expected, but I think that was also a no. So there's 3 overseers and they handle all the shit behind the scenes. They try to not force anything since like it's a world for the new humans. So they were pretty okay with how the city was doing with putting the snatchers down and wiping the powers of the errors all the way. Because the relics were just old technology that the overseers didn't want being brought back up. Basically another war would eventually show up because of them and they'd be pissed on as like holy shit this again, right? So Sociodrocus might be linked as the future or there's like an alternate world, but I'm pretty sure it's like the future thing, right? It's not unique at this point, it's like the classics like Utawa, but I've seen it happening here and there in a couple of other titles I've read so far. It being unique wasn't that much of a problem, it's just that it felt really rushed this time, which is kind of funny because it was slapped like right at the end of Utawa as well, and actually all the other ones now that I think about it. Yet it still felt like it fell into place really well, where this one, it just felt like another setup for another combat sequence and that's it. Anyways, like I said before, the theme is mainly on stagnation. Renu got some trauma where he tried but couldn't save anyone. Alongside that, eventually becoming a snatcher closed him off even more, and he just stopped expecting anything good happening for him. It's pretty much the same case for Gray, where he basically became a bandit. He was great at it, and he probably didn't have a lot of other options, and for like a snatcher self, it's like, screw it, this is what I'm gonna do. It references the stopwatch here and there throughout the chapters, and you think it'd probably be like, oh, it's a connection between Gray and Renu alongside like, oh, the symbolism of that Renu's time has stopped for now. But outside of symbolism, the watch wasn't important at all, so it's kind of odd that it just kept on showing up. I guess it was showing that Renu was subconsciously trying to change even near the start, the wheel of fate is turning type of thing, right? Some of the characters could have some kind of epilogue, but they just got shafted. Some are kind of obvious considering they're dead, but they did Shia dirty. She's even part of Tilt's epilogue where she just gets rejected, and that's kind of fucked up when they could have just done like a double snatcher type of epilogue for her, but whatever. Quinn also could have something like a gag ending, I guess, for Gray, where he just chases him for shits and giggles, and then it would be like Fee and Gray trying to dodge the other two because Isla's always like after Fee as well. It'd be a trash fire ending, but it'd be funny. And that's about it for this time. A lot of shit came out, like Patricia came out, the Spare Drops came out PC, Happiness came out, which I don't care about. Scrum the Moon came out, Virtual Girl came out, Candida came out, the Neko Power thing, which I also don't care about. I was like, why did everything decide to release it like May?